Hello. I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Natural as F. I'm your host, Dr. Ferrante Frazier, teaching the sound ways of health. We under the umbrella of Savannah Natural Health here in Savannah. You can contact us at 912-227-9335. We want to start off thanking this platform for allowing us to talk about holistic health and healing, whereas the mainstream medical is got the platform and is teaching everybody the medical way of life. There is still a truth circulating uh, through this platform of all things relevant media. We want to thank those who've been tuning into our show every week. We also want to thank those who, be sharing this video, not thinking it robbery to share this information with somebody else that somebody else may also learn a way to heal themselves more natural without the use of medicine, herbs, and remedies. Now, we're not medical doctors. I always tell that in my shows that we're not medical doctors. So if you believe that your condition is a medical one, then you need to go and seek medical care from a medical doctor. If you believe that your issue is one that requires herbs, is a herbal issue, then you should seek out a herbalist and allow them to treat you with herbs and remedies. If you believe that a psychic, your problem is due to psychic neglect, and you believe psychics can help you correct your health issues, then you need to get in contact with a psychic and allow them to do what they do to help cure you of your illnesses and sicknesses. Even if you believe that your pastor can heal you while you continuously do your bad habits, by all means, you go out and go and find your pastor. What we're going to only do is teach you some conditions. We're teachers at the end of the day, teaching you some sound ways of living that your body will heal its own self. According to what we're going to talk about in some of our topics today, which we're going to be talking about the cause of disease, and I'm going to be coming from the Human Life, Its Philosophies and Laws by Dr. Herbert M. Shelton. He's one of the greatest holistic doctors of our generation. He wrote many books, fasted over 40,000 people. He supervised the fast of over 40,000 people. That you can't tell me he don't know about fasting. If he fasts over, watch 40,000 people go through fast, he really know what fasting can do. So he wrote many books on it, the benefits of fasting, who shouldn't fast, when to break the fast, and different stuff. One of the greatest books that he got out right now is Fasting Can Save Your Life. That's something that if you're looking and wanting to know about fasting or want to fast and you don't have a practitioner to help guide you, I would tell you to research all you can about fasting before you delve into it, because it can spook you or cause some type of issue in you if you're not aware of the symptoms and the things that come about during fasting and know how to break it properly. But I would also suggest that you go ahead and get someone to supervise you, somebody who know about the fast and to help coach you through it. It's just like trying to, imagine the person who wants to get off cocaine or heroin or some other addictive drug or addictive habit like gambling and excessive spending money, excessive sex, and whatever you need to break yourself away from. You may need a coach to help guide you, because you're not strong enough to pull yourself off of it, because you wouldn't be addicted to it if your strength can pull you away from it, just your own conscious strength, your own conscious will. So every so often it would be ideal to have someone that you can call on, someone to identify when you're at a stumbling block, to help you jump over that stumbling block where you don't go back into your lifestyle of addictive habits and be able to, be persistent and pursue your dream of freedom and liberation. I want to talk a little bit in this episode and make sure that you share with all the individuals on your timeline. If you're not a friend of All Things Relevant Black Media, go to the Facebook page right now and hit like and follow, and make sure you share the page as well with other people. We're here every Tuesday between 6 and 7. Now, also, you can go to YouTube and watch us there live, streaming live also. Also, All Things Relevant Black Media. Now, we want to talk about the cause of disease. A lot of us think that disease are separate entities according to the medical mindset. When I say medical mindset, I'm talking about the way mainstream medical or the health profession teach about health. So when you hear doctors and nutritionists and stuff coming up on the television, they're usually coming from a medical mindset. They have control of the airwaves right now. We have to be on, kind of back burner shows or create own platforms like this and stuff like that to get out truth, all things relevant and truth. So you have to see that their terminology is different than our terminology. They believe that every disease is caused, like different diseases is caused by different germs. Like there's a germ that's caused one disease and another germ that caused another disease and another germ caused another disease. And they believe that there are specific germs for specific diseases. We in hygiene and natural health, we believe that there's only one disease. We don't believe in many diseases. Even though disease go by many different names, we believe that it's just one disease at the end of the day. And we believe that one disease is toxemia. We believe poison blood. Toxemia is poison blood. Tox being poison and emia being blood. So when you put those two together, you get toxemia. And toxemia is poison blood. Now, why is poison blood the cause of all disease? Because the blood permeates every cell and tissue in our body. It feeds our body. It feeds our body with nutrients. When we breathe in fresh air, when we breathe, drink water, when we eat foods, those foods are broken down and it goes into the blood and the circulatory system. The air goes into the circulatory system. The water goes in the circulatory system, and it's circulated throughout the body. And every cell in the body dips its hand in that blood and pull out what it needs. If it need water, it pull out water. If it need, say, some vitamin D from the sun, from you being out there in the sun, getting sun exposure and stuff like that, it's going to pull that out of the circulating blood. If it needs nutrition of vitamin E, folic acid, any of the so-called minerals that you got from digesting your food, when you eat proper food, it will pull from that and nurture itself and structure itself and so it can function. See, the cell have to function and structure itself properly. So it need the right materials in which to function and to build itself. Structure is building itself and maintaining itself and repairing itself. The function is the actual activity that cell does. If it's of a nerve cell, it have to do nervous activity. If it's a heart cell, it got to do heart activity. If it's a lung cell, it got to do lung activity. So it got to function according to the differentiation of that cell. That cell differentiated what it was going to do from other cells. So each cell has a duty, and that duty is its function. its structure, it have to build itself according to also the type of cell it is. If it's a lung cell, it got to build itself like a lung cell. But if there's no nutrition in the blood, if the blood is just toxic, full of nothing but poisonous additives, preservatives, colors, and dyes, and all other unnatural foods that we've been throwing into our body, drugs, air pollutions, and all type of other heavy metal poisonings, stuff from our colognes, from our shampoos, from our deodorants, from our lotion, from the other chemicals that we, put into on and around our body and in our environment. Those poisons get into our blood. Now, we have organs in our body that filter out these poisons. Now, these poisons can't stay in the blood for a long period of time. If it stays in the blood for a long period of time, it would damage. It would damage the organs and tissues that the blood passes by. And, it's like free radicals running through the body, tearing up tissues and stuff. It causes inflammation, irritation, and inflammation. If the poison stay in the blood, it will lead to irritation, then inflammation, and then ulceration. And we'll talk about that in another show where we talk about the 7 stages of disease. We've talked about it before, the 7 stages, how you go down the descent of disease. There's one disease and it goes down 7 stages. It starts off with enervation, where your body is fatigued and tired and it's no longer cleaning house. So toxins build up in the body. All right. That's toxicosis or toxemia. And this toxins build up in the body and it starts causing the irritation. And that irritation causes inflammation in the body. If you keep irritating something, it's going to become inflamed. So this happens to your cells and tissues. Now imagine when your lungs is being constantly irritated, they become inflamed. Notice when your stomach is constantly irritated, it becomes inflamed. Your kidneys constantly being irritated, it becomes inflamed. Now other tissues and organs through the body also suffer from the irritation of being poisoned. And they too become inflamed. And they too become ulcerated and indurated. And they start degenerating. So all of this is due to poisonous buildup in the blood. Now, why do some people have this issue in one area and not another area? Well, we all got different habits. Some people, they tend to eat more food than another person. Another person love to smoke, and another person love to, have chemical poisons in their air with sprays and dyes. They burn candles and stuff. So each one of us got our favorite pastime habit. And that habit weakens certain areas of the body more than other areas of the body. So when our energy level gets low, the body doesn't have any energy to defend against the toxic waste that is inside. Because when you have high energy, the body can deal with the excessive waste. It has energy to reflect it, to deal with it, to tolerate it. But when the energy starts getting too low, then it's no longer have the resistance. It doesn't have, excuse me here. I had a little interruption there. We're going to take care of that. We won't have that issue anymore. I do apologize about that. But anytime that your body is suffering with low energy and toxins start building up in it, the body have to free that blood of that poison. Now, the body have ways of doing it by draining out the toxins, but it's going to usually use a route that is weak, like we talked about. If you be abusing your lungs for a long time, then when toxins are drained out of your body, it's going to come out of the weakest one. All that weakest one is going to be the area of your body that flare up when you are in a toxic overload. So that's why we go suffering and asking, going to the doctor with different types of symptoms. We don't all have the same symptom because we abuse different body parts. Think of it like this: everybody don't go to the mechanic for the same thing. Everybody don't pile up to the mechanic and say, "Hey, my water pump bad." No, everybody is going to the mechanic for different things because they tend to damage different things in there. They live in different environments. They drive different. They put different gas in the car. They put different oil in the car. So depending on how you take care of your car is going to decide what part or what area tear down first in your car. Same thing with the human body. The part that you overuse and abuse would be the first one that cry out in pain when your energy levels go low, or the toxicity build up in your blood really high to the point where your body can no longer tolerate anything. So this is when the body forms symptoms to detox itself, or it forms what we consider to be a crisis. A crisis is an instituted activity of the body to purge itself of excessive waste or accumulated waste. Now, these symptoms appear to be sickness. The medical people would say, "Oh, you sick, you got a cold, you got flu-like symptoms, or you got symptoms of disease." Now, we use the term, it's the symptoms of poisoning. It's the symptoms of detoxification. When you're coughing out green stuff and yellow stuff and brown stuff, there's something inside of you that's poisonous that your body is deemed necessary to cough it up. Just like if you drank alcohol, you started poisoning yourself with alcohol, the body is going to start with urination, sweating, and then it's going to have you throwing that mess up. So at all times, those symptoms of regurgitation, symptoms of fever and sweating, that's just showing you that you're poisoned. And now, when your body become highly toxic, then you got a bunch of poison circulating in your blood. And so the body have to take action. It got to either die and allow the poison to keep circulating in the blood and kill you, or it got to take action. And that action is to find a route in which to drain or purge or detox or eliminate the toxins out of your body and from your blood safely. The best way to know how. So it use routes. Now, these routes are not easy. They are better than what it can take. It's not going to take the worst destructive route. Like, it's not just going to just shoot it through your brain. It's going to take minor routes at first. They're going to take real minor routes for a long period of time, unless you keep taking medicines and herbs and remedies and keep suppressing the toxins from coming out of your body. Because every time you take some remedy, some potion, you're suppressing the poison from coming out of your body. So they have to remain there. And not only are they being suppressed in your body, the poison of the drug and the herb and the remedy is also being added to your toxic blood. All these herbs and remedies, they like to say that herbs and remedies are holistic and natural and they're good to use. No, if you look up just about every last one of these herbs and remedies that's being marketed out here, they got side effects. To have side effects mean that the body, those are symptoms of poisoning. When you take too much, your body start acting with these symptoms. These side effects are just another term for symptoms of poisoning. When you take too much or you take something and your body start acting erratically, it's the side effect of being poisoned. Just like if you take alcohol, the side effect of taking alcohol is you're probably going to urinate. You're most likely going to sweat. You may become delirious. You may stagger. You may vomit all over yourself. You may have relaxed bowel and make a mess on yourself. So those are just the side effects of poisoning yourself. So even with these herbs and remedies, even the medical, we know the medical is poison, but even these herbs, these things have a means of poisoning you as well. And I know people would love to say that, oh man, these things work. They stop my cold. You don't want to stop the cold. That's what we're not grasping in our head right now. We don't want it to stop the cold. We want to stop doing what's producing the cold. You see what I'm coming from? You don't address the reason why you're toxic if you just take something to stop the cough, to stop the sneeze, to break the fever. You're not addressing what's producing the fever, what's causing it. It's like trying to stop your sweating and your staggering and your vomiting while you constantly still drinking alcohol. You're sitting at the bar to steady downing shot after shot, but you're trying to find out why you're asking people, why am I peeing on myself? It's not normal. And instead of you stopping drinking alcohol, you start wearing diapers and saying, well, this will help me. I'll put on some diapers and I'll make it to the bathroom in time or something like that. You're covering up the symptoms of your poisonous habits. You don't want to stop the habit. You just want to mask the symptoms or the side effects that results from my, bad lifestyle habits or unhealthy lifestyle habits. I'm not going to say bad, but we're going to say unhealthy lifestyle habits. According to Dr. Shelton in his book, I know I ain't even got a chance to read none of it yet. I was just going on a little tangent there. But we're also going to get to what is poison, give you a good understanding of what poisons are. Because poison, a lot of us don't know that everything is poisonous that is not ideal for human consumption. I don't care what you wish to think that, just because we've been doing it and your grandmama lived eating pork for 100 years, that don't mean that it was healthy, Because she lived 100 years eating pork don't mean that pork was healthy. People smoke cigarettes for 90 years and don't die from cancer. They die from something else. But that don't mean that everybody should go start smoking cigarettes. I know some crack addicts who smoke crack for a long time. And you mean to tell me that crack is the ideal thing for us to do to prolong life? According to Dr. Shelton, in chapter 16, The Cause of Disease, I'm going to read a little piece of it to you. And then we're going to talk about it a little bit. But he says, certain fact of common observation, which has been denominated the law of the cell. See, they structure some laws in hygienic health. And this one is called the law of the cell in science. And it says it has been formulated in these words. Every cell in the human body will continue to perform the functions for which it was designed, or we can say created, throughout its entire life cycle, provided its environment remains congenial to it. Now, we're going to say this in a nutshell. You can plant some okra, and okra will constantly keep growing for you and providing you with okra just about every other day, provided that you give it water, provided that you make sure you get the grass out of it, and provided that it don't get too cold. That is said it in a nutshell. That's just how your cells work inside your body. According to him in the next paragraph, he said, many experts have shown that the cells of the animal body required, if they are to continue to live, grow, and reproduce, proper nutrition, adequate drainage, a suitable temperature, and protection from violence. All right. So that's the same thing in our cells. well, we're animal cells at the end of the day as well. But our cells need to have proper nutrition. We got to make sure that we're giving it the materials that it can repair itself, restructure itself. Because cells and tissues die daily. You lose millions of cells every day. But you can replace those cells with new cells, provided that you got what cells are made of. And that's proper nutrition for human cell reproduction and replacement. You can't be using some off-brand material to make cells that cells weren't made of. That's why we degenerate. That's why our body fall apart. Our bones become porous. Our muscles weaken. Because we're not repairing our body to manufacture healthy cells and tissues. Now, when we read about poison, further down in the chapter, we see that he talks about all normal individuals are possessed of a natural repugnance to poisonous and injurious substances. The instinctive aversion to any kind of poison may be perverted into an unnatural craving after that poison. In other words, what he's saying that just about every poison known to mankind with a healthy conscience, with a healthy taste, with a healthy smell, is repugnant to you. When no one loved the smell of tobacco until you indulge in the habit for quite a long time. No one liked the taste of salt until they indulge in the habit. All these different toxic substances that we indulge in, we acquire a taste for them after using it when our body have constantly rejected. Our body have to reject it numerous times before it to stop rejecting and allow you to actually now crave the very thing that it once used to reject. Think about when you smoke weed for the first time. It gives you a feeling that it scares you, most people, to death to use it for the first time. It scares them to death. They be so paranoid. They'd be like, Lord, if you just bring me down, I'll never do this again. Oh my God, if I can just get over this feeling right now. And then after 4 or 5 hours, they come down off that high. Now, that was your body warning you, don't do that no more. It showed you all kind of different signs that this is not ideal. You were poisoned. But now, if we're not smart and we want to play cool and we want to continue to have it and hang out with our friends and do the bad stuff, then we indulge in it again. And we indulge in it again. And we keep on. And by the couple of weeks, we're no longer having those frightful experiences anymore. And now we're actually looking forward to our smoke. Matter of fact, we get a headache when we don't smoke. We start feeling awry when we don't smoke. So we done created an addiction in ourselves. We done became accustomed to the poison. Instinct is plastic. If the warnings of the organic instincts are unheeded and the offending substance is again and again forced upon the body, nature, true to the law of self-preservation, seeks to prolong life by adapting the body to the poison. If the body, every time the body, you put poison in, the body acts like that to neutralize that poison and to eliminate it. But that takes energy. That takes huge amounts of energy for your body to sum up its energy to go and fight intruder and then bound it and then neutralize it and then move it to eliminate it out of the body. That takes a lot of energy. Now, if the body is doing this every couple of hours because you're smoking every couple of hours or you're drinking every couple of hours or you're ingesting some type of poison every couple of hours, then the body have to muster up huge amounts of energy every couple of hours. Now, the body don't have buku energy. It don't have a endless source of energy. You know, that vitality will soon wear down. Your vital energy, your nerve power, your functioning power will become depleted. But before the body allows this depletion to take place, it will stop resisting and neutralizing and eliminating out these toxins. It will tolerate the toxin. So you don't have that resistance anymore. You don't have that wave of nauseous. You don't have that, you know, all those different symptoms of your body purging out these toxins, because it's not going to purge it out. It's just going to allow it to, you know, it's going to tolerate it. It's going to allow it to just stay inside. What it'll do is possibly try to put it in out of the way areas, because it can't deal with it right now. It's just not going to waste any more energy on it. So it's going to put it in out of the way areas. So it might put it in the subcutaneous tissues, your fatty cells. It might put it in the joint area. It might sometimes create a sac and put it in the sac, like in such of a tumor, cyst, polyp, or wind, or abscess, or something of that nature. So the body will try to find a way to deal with the excessive poisons without having to use huge amounts of energy. So it'll just store it inside. So now you're accumulating toxins. And if your habits, you know, now that you are able to smoke without being scared and drink without getting drunk off of one drink, now you're drinking two, now you're drinking three, you smoking 8 blunts a day, you know, you're indulging in more of the toxic substance. So now your body, even though it don't have energy, it didn't have enough energy to deal with the one, now you're ingesting 2 and 3, and it still don't have energy, then you're storing more toxins in your body now. But there's going to come a time where the body can no longer tolerate the amount of toxins. Like, it's going to reach a threshold where it's got to either make a choice to do something or lay down and die. So now that something is what we call a crisis. It reach a point of a crisis to either act or lay down and die. Now that action is going to be in the form of a detox, a body-initiated detox. The body is going to form a detox where it's going to throw the waste out any which way it can. Now, it's probably ain't going to try to throw it out of an area that's solid tight. It's going to look at one of the weakest parts and start draining out of one of the parts of the body that's already damaged. It's going to try to get out of the window that's already got a crack in it. It's going to go through the wall that's already got holes in it. So it's not going to go through a solid wall, a solid organ, or a solid tissue. It's going to go through one that has already been overused, abused, or damaged. This is why we see that different areas is the seat of our disease, because we all damage different parts of our body from our lifestyle. We all use or overuse certain parts of our body that mimic our lifestyle, that reflects our lifestyle. Now, where our disease manifests or purge itself from, that's where the medical man tend to call this stuff. If you have inflammation in your head, they're going to most likely call it meningitis or something. If it's in your heart, they're going to call it carditis. If the toxins are irritating your colon, they're going to call it colitis. If it's in your joint area, they're going to call it arthritis. If it's in your tonsils, tonsillitis. If it's in your larynx, they're going to call it laryngitis. If it's in your bronchioles, they're going to call it bronchitis. You know, if it's in the adenoiditis, you know, whatever, toaditis. If it's in the knee-itis, you know, whatever. I'm just putting the term that they like to use now. They got some more scientific stuff to name this stuff. Now, I mean, they got some Latin terms for you, buddy. But it's usually just going to have itis put to it and the area that's being inflamed. It's like saying if you got a fire in your house, you know, instead of just saying the house is on fire, you're saying, well, you know, we know all fires is caused by fire. You know, the place is being burned down by fire. you know. But they're going to say, well, where's the fire located? Well, it's in the kitchen, so we're going to call this a kitchen fire. If it's in the bathroom, we're going to call it a bathroom fire. But the same thing that caused it in the kitchen will cause it in, it can cause it in the bathroom. You know, is mishandling of flammable stuff and getting it ignited, you know, having some combustion going on. So it's the same cause no matter where. It's the same conditions are required for the fire to manifest in the bathroom as it manifests in the kitchen, as it manifests in the bedroom, as it manifests in the garage, as it manifests in the living room, as it manifests in the dining room. It doesn't matter where the fire is, you know, starts. It's going to start under the same law of affinity, if that's the right term to use. It's going to use the same law that governs how this fire combusts and start to act and create. So poison doesn't, you know, the poison, wherever the poison is draining from, it's just poison. And that poison is the result of an overload of poison in the blood and in the tissue. And the body must act to free itself of that excessive accumulated toxin. And this is the cause of disease. Now, when cells and tissues are decaying because of the excess of toxins, then yes, parasites form in the body. Enzyme activity goes in the body to break down tissues. All right. Now we can look at it in here. This is the medical one second. We can get a better understanding of that right here. Find it real quick. Page 40. When our cells and tissues are destroyed from abuse of the toxins and are no longer properly building themselves, we're going to talk about it. This is a book called Medical Physiology. All right? It's a medical physiology book. But if you go to page 40, if you get this book and go to page 40, it will tell you under apoptosis. Apoptosis is programmed cell death. That's what apoptosis means. Programmed cell death. The 100 trillion, this is what the book is saying. I'm reading from the book now. It says 100 trillion cells of the body are members of a highly organized community in which the total number of cells is regulated not only by controlling the rate of cell division, but also by controlling the rate of cell death. So the body controls and balances its population by controlling the how cells divide and reproduce, and also by how cells die. When cells are no longer needed or become a threat to the organism, they undergo a suicidal programmed cell death, or apoptosis. This process involves a specific proteolytic cascade that causes the cell to shrink and condense, to disassemble into cytoskeleton, and to alter its cell surface so that a neighboring phagocytic cell, such as a macrophage, can attach to the cell membrane and digest the cell. So, in other words, what it just said right there is it says that whenever a cell is no longer needed, it will start taking the tent down. It'll start taking its protective cover that, and took off its sign that saying, I'm a citizen. It took away its citizenship. It took the sign down off its door, and it's letting you know now I'm no longer a part of the community. I'm shutting down business. And so when doing so, it lays itself open for the immune system to send someone to escort it out of the body, out of the community or out of the body. So it sends a phagocyte. A phagocyte is an immune cell that engulfs its any toxic agent. Like it does like Pac-Man do. When Pac-Man go around just eating up everything, well, that's just what a phagocyte do. It goes around like Pac-Man, eating away a bunch of toxins and engulfing them. So they're inside the belly of the phagocyte. And then the phagocyte goes to a lymphatic gland and prepare itself to be purged out via the mucus, where you snot it out, you cough it up, like in the form of some phlegm. You have all these toxic green stuff and all that. So that's just phagocyte material just being spit out, or when you see mucus in your urine or in your colon, your bowels and stuff like that. That's just where the phagocytes just dump themselves out to be eliminated out of the body after they done engulfed a bunch of waste and toxin. So they digest those things and then go ahead and throw themselves out of the body. Now, when we go down and read a little further, well, before we go down, I want to read this part to you as well. In contrast to programmed death, cells that die as a result of an acute injury usually swell and burst due to loss of cell membrane integrity, a process called cell necrosis. So apoptosis is when cells suicidal themselves. They shrink and open up shop and make themselves susceptible, where a phagocyte can come there and snatch them up and take them out of the body. Necrosis is where when we, like, for example, hit our hand on something and we burst and tear and cause damage to a cell, then that is called necrosis. When the membrane integrity have been damaged and burst, it's destroyed. Necrotic cells may spill their contents, causing inflammation and injury in neighboring cells. This is where we also see where tumors bust and spread and causing this condition called cachexia. But that'll be for another show. But we're going into a little, before we finish talking about cancer here, because this is going to give you a little more idea of what's going on in our world today. We can't almost say some of the terms that's right here in this book because, the medical people of the day don't want us using regular terms of science that, even kids in middle school use in their science book. But we can't say the cat, the dog, because, they got patents on us saying dog now or cat. You can't say cat, because that's what we're in charge of that word now, because this is what's going on. Too many cats in the world, so we can't use the word cat. You get thrown in jail for saying cat, but you know what I'm talking about. We can't say the terms that's out here today. No, we can't be aired on their platform. We can't be aired on their radio. We don't have the right to use those words that are common words in the English language. Can't say doth and thou. Can't speak the king's words. Cancer is caused in all or almost all instances by mutation or by some other abnormal activation. Listen to those words now. This is in the medical, physiological book. All right. See that? Guyton and Hall, 12th edition, page 40, under the heading Cancer. Cancer is caused in all or almost all instances by mutation. Now, remember we said our seventh stage of disease is metamorphosis or mutation, where the cell is no longer creating itself the normal way. It's not structuring itself the way that a cell's supposed to structure itself. It's structuring itself some other type of way. You know, a lung tissue have to mutate to deal with excessive tobacco smoke. It's no longer is a soft, if it's no longer soft tissue. So normally the cells and tissues reproduce themselves soft and able to expand, but this new tissue have to deal with constant irritation. So the lung tissue will mutate to be a hard cell to tolerate the constant irritation. So the mutation is to tolerate the irritation. So the function and structure of the cell must mutate to a different type of cell to deal with the ongoing irritation of the poison that we're constantly bringing to that cell, if that makes it a little better than saying it. Or by some other abnormal activation, all right? Or of cellular genes that control cell growth and cell mitosis, all right? So it says by mutation, meaning that this is over a period of time, like you mutated or you is where it's like accommodation, where the cells will learn how to accommodate and tolerate the poison, so it changes its functions and structure. But abnormal activation is meaning that some outside force or substance or poison or cellular genes that control cell growth and cell mitosis. Now, we got certain therapies that's going on right now today that mass people are taking that actually goes in and abnormally activates spikes on our healthy cells and turn them into rogue cells. But now they're saying this is the way to, mimic a so-called pathogen or parasite in our body that will invoke immunity or bring on our immune system to act and fight it and create B cells to remember the pathogen if it comes back into our body again. Now, they're activating healthy cells and causing them to become cancerous, according to the medical physiological 12th edition. Only a minute fraction of the cells that mutate in the body ever lead to cancer. There are several reasons for this. First, most mutated cells have less survival capability than normal cells and simply die. See, cancer cells, they're not going to last long because they're going to go, if they're not needed, you got to remember what's going to happen with apoptosis. If cells are abnormally growing, the cell itself is just going to self-destruct, or the immune system is going to come and take it away. It's going to do both regardless. If it's self-destruct, it's still the phagocyte's going to come there and knock it on off. But anytime that a cell is not operating like the body deem it to operate, then it's going to be a cancerous cell. It's going to be an abnormal cell. Second, only a few of the mutated cells that do survive become cancer because even most mutated cells still have normal feedback controls that prevent excessive growth. So the cell is always responding to the body and letting it know, hey man, something not right with me. Even when it's cancerous, it's telling, hey, something's not right with me. And so the body is sending the feedback telling it, hey, self-destruct, we don't need you. Sacrifice yourself for the community. Or it'll send warriors down there to help aid it in destroying itself and removing it away from the community where the community can survive. Because the number one law of the cell and the body and the law of the universe is self-preservation. By all means, let's preserve the unit. We preserve self first, and then we preserve the unit, even if we have to sacrifice the one. Now, if we look at it, like we're saying, that right now in our day and time, we have this new research from cancer researchers. Now, you got major cancer researchers and all these different health colleges and stuff like that. They're cancer researchers. If you only just pick up a book, you don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to be misguided anymore. All you have to do is search every one of those companies that are producing these remedies right now for these pathogens in the world. That's this crisis that's going on in the world. This issue of sickness that's appearing all over our land. Now, I'm not using none of the terms, but you know what I'm talking about. But the stuff that's going on, this pandemic that's going on in our world today, is due to mass poisoning. The remedy that they have for this is to use cancer technology. Because like I said, if you study every last one of the companies, pretty much that I've studied so far, all of them were using this therapy that they're invoking as a remedy now to protect us from the pathogen. It was research for cancer. They were studying it to offset cancer because what they were doing was trying to cause apoptosis. They're trying to cause apoptosis. They're just studying us to see if this is truly good technology. But they have to have some human subjects. And I mean, they're using a bunch of them. I know you're saying, well, how in the world are they getting away with it? Because, hey, we're not studying it. We're not using our mind. This sounds like a conspiracy to everybody when we're trying to tell you to wake up. But if you go to their website, you'll see that those people, especially the M place, the place that starts with the M, the company that starts with the M, that's one of the main distributors of this therapy. You can go to their website and you'll see that, yeah, we've been studying cancer. That's what we mainly do, is different cancer research. And what we do is we believe that we can change the structure and the structure and function of cells by intercepting the mRNA inside the cell and rewrite it and cause it to form a different cell, cause it to form a different structure. But the thing that they're not paying attention to is that every cell has what just that book said, a feedback. It's letting you know, hey man, this is not the way the gene described that I should have did this. We've been hijacked. This is something is going wrong. And so that's why we're having all these symptoms and these allergic reactions that stem after the ingestion of these therapeutic treatments. And then how we never heard them say, well, it's going to a certain cell. Like, which cell is it going to do this type of stuff to? What cell is it's going to this mRNA is going to go to and hijack? Is it going to go to the brain cell? Is it going to go to the lung cell? Is it going to go to a heart cell? Well, which cell is it going to? And who know if it's these people who having these heart problems that is going to their heart and disrupting their heart by creating rogue cells and causing them people to have these abnormal conditions in their cells that they weren't having before, because you got this new therapy that's altering their cell structure, causing spikes all on their heart cells. I'm just talking. You tell me. Does it sound capable of what's going on in the world? All we have to do is study the science. You know how they say, study the science. They don't know nothing about science. I'm reading it out of the science book, people. I'm reading it to you out of the science book. You can't get no more science than out of the science book. Now, these people are making for themselves science now. Medical science is a totally different thing. You know, they got their own science that they're building for themselves. But we're running out of time for this week. I want to thank all our listeners for listening in. We want to tell you to make sure that you share this with all your friends and family. Let them know that there is a true way towards health, and we teach it right here on Natural is Health. All right. There's no superstition. There's no trickery. We're unadulterated in our teaching. We teach bare block. We don't use no type of magic in our teaching. We don't try to use therapies, remedies, or treatments, or any of that stuff. Our stuff is solely for the knowledge and teachings of a spiritual, mental, and physical lifestyle that will promote a healthy life, free from addiction, free from suffering, and free from dis-ease, provided that you keep your environment congenial. Make sure that you got the grass from around your okra plant. Make sure you water the okra plant. Make sure you keep butch from biting on the roots and stems of the okra plant. You know, protect it, and it'll produce okra for you every couple of days. Same thing with your body. If you want to maintain great health, you got to make sure that you properly nurture yourself with proper nutrition, maintain drainage, that's toxic elimination. Make sure that you stay away from violence and keep your temperatures proper. And you have the greatest health, optimum health that you can possibly have in your body. So I just want to tell you, I love you. I love you. I love y'all so much. And thank y'all for always liking and share. I hope that this message strikes something in you to listen and change from the medical mindset to a more holistic mindset, where your body can feel the amazing, glorious feeling of sound health when you obey the conditions for health. So best of health and happiness from Natural is Health on the ATR All Things Relevant Black Media platform, here every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. We love you. Best of health and happiness. Best of health and happiness. Best of health and happiness.